Okay, so before we get all the way into that AAU chapter, man, I'm gonna put you in a little bit of a tough spot here. So, if you had to pick between the two in terms of which one you closest to, I love my mama to death. I'm a big daddy's boy though, and everybody that knows me knows that. Like that's my best friend. Love my mama to death though, but my little bro, they best friends.
Yeah.
So when it come to you with mom and dad, who would you say you most alike, and who you say you the tightest with?
I definitely have traits from both.
Yeah, no doubt. We all a hybrid.
For sure, got traits from both. In my older age, I feel like my mom has definitely been somebody that I could communicate with a lot and, share a lot of different things with. But as well as my dad, so I'm kind of in between, with both of them. So
that's a good place to be. Man. I like that. I like that. It's politically correct.
Yeah.
But it's dope. And then plus I know that you're a parent now too, and so we're gonna get into that down the line. So when you say you got into AAU basketball around about 6th grade, that's around about the same time I got with it, which sort of forces you to take it seriously if you didn't before.
Yeah.
What was the AAU organization that came and got you, man?
Man, so it was an organization called N1.
Yeah.
Keith Flory is a guy that found me.
Ryan.
Man, I was outside on the blacktop in my elementary school, just playing outside, and I guess he seen me. And long story short, ended up talking to my mom, and saying, "Hey, I got this program. I want him to come, try out, whatever the case." And went and tried out, and kind of went from there.
Yeah.
So my first AAU coach, so he was kind of, I guess you can call him like the program director. But Terry Long was my first AAU coach, man. So
How ironic.
So I learned a lot from him, no doubt.
Were you nerved up at all about going to the trials, or you were in right away, like, all right, yeah, I'll go?
No, I was definitely nervous, because leading up to that, I had played football. I played some basketball early on, but before that, it was, it was Little League football, whatever case. And so I was definitely nervous. I never really played, I guess, real structured basketball in that case, and so definitely nervous. I know Coach Keith, he had said something to me like, "Man, do you know how to box out?" And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." I just said, "Yeah," like, "Yeah, I can box out," like.
That's some boy stuff right there. Competitive. I ain't gonna tell them I ain't got it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, when you got there, were there any familiar faces? Anybody that you already knew once you got there, or all strangers?
Yeah, it was one familiar face. A good friend that I grew up with, Tony Criswell, was a familiar face. He had played with the program early on, so he kind of pushed me to kind of come to the tryout as well. Yeah. So, You
say you performed pretty well?
Yeah.
Easy work. Now, see, I'm looking at you now, and I'm profiling you. You got some height on you. You got some size on you. Yeah. Were you always one of the bigger, taller kids in your grade, or did you hit a growth spurt kind of late?
I kind of hit my growth spurt real early, and it was 3-4 inches at a time, and so I was having knee pains early on growing up. By the time I was 8th grade, I'm what you see now.
Yeah. Did you learn the post game first, or did you learn the guard game first? Because I remember watching you play, and you had both in the bag.
It was honestly a combination of both.
Yeah.
Because like I said, growing up, I did a little bit of everything. I post up, play outside, no real structure early on, and so I just kind of did a little bit of everything. And when I started to really get serious about it, I kind of had both already. So
no real restrictions either once you started playing? It kind of let you be you?
Early on, I was definitely more in the post, and I think after that first year, then I kind of started to flow back out, and coaches kind of felt more comfortable, allowing me to play on the perimeter and, inside, outside, call myself a tweener, I guess you can say.
There you go, a little hybrid action.
Yeah.
I feel that. Now, would you say you were a pretty coachable kid, or were you one that wore his emotions on his sleeves, man? How were you able to receive tutelage?
I would say I was very coachable.
Yeah.
You can get on me, you can coach me hard. I can take it. So
that was that era too.
Yeah. I'm playing for Terry Long and my high school coach Patrick Cudjoe. If you know him, man, these guys are intense. So
man, he's still intense today.
Yeah.
You gotta relax, man.
Yeah. So it was nothing for me to take hard coaching. I could take it.
I would always notice a distinct difference between the AAU basketball players. Well, let me not call them the AAU basketball players. The players that played all year round versus the ones who were just seasonal, especially when I was in middle school. What was your middle school ball experience like?
It was good. It was solid. I went to Rogers Middle School in Spencer, and some of these middle schools now, you have a 7th grade team, 6th grade team, 8th grade team. It was 7th and 8th grade teams together, And I had a great coach and Coach Potters, and it was a good experience for me. I was the only 7th grader that started.
Hey.
With a bunch of other 8th graders, so it was a good experience for me.
Must have been undeniable then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, at Rogers Middle School, at least back then, was 6th grade considered middle school, or was 7th grade?
7th grade.
Okay,
yeah.
just 7th and 8th.
So at that point, they had stopped middle school. It used to be 6th, 7th, and 8th, but for some reason, they made 6th grade a part of elementary. And
yeah.
So I had to wait till 7th grade to, I guess, be considered middle school at that point.
I feel that. I feel
Yeah.
that. All right. So your 8th grade year, I got to imagine you really probably the biggest fish at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You one of the elders, and now you playing 2 years straight as a starter. Which year would you say you found the most success individually, not necessarily as a team? Your 7th grade year or your 8th grade year?
8th grade year, I definitely kind of came into my own.
Yeah.
I kind of started to feel more comfortable with who I was. My teammates kind of, okay, he's our guy. Coaches, he's our guy, and so I definitely started to come into my own about 8th grade for sure.
Never ran into that rift, because you know how boys can be with our egos, man. You know what I mean? Did anybody resist the system? Like, yo, this is the dude, but I got something too.
Honestly, I not in middle school.
Got you.
Not in middle school.
That's
yeah,
dope.
for sure.
All right. So now we go into the high school chapter, man. You play. You mentioned his name, old Patrick Cudjoe. You playing
Yeah.
for a legend, and you do all 4 years at Star Spencer, right?
Yep.
How was your freshman experience, man? And the reason where I'm coming from with that question is, I remember as a freshman, there were like 8 to 10 seniors, so I didn't have a chance of breaking into that uniform, but I wanted to so bad. I was the best manager in the business, though. You know what I'm saying? But how was it for you, year one?
It was great.
Yeah.
I came in and had an opportunity right away. At the time, I believe a freshman hadn't started varsity in, I believe, 25 years in Spencer's history up to that point. And I came in, worked hard, didn't expect anything, just hopeful to be a part of the team.
Yeah. Nobody
really.
made you no promises either, huh?
No, not at all. He didn't make me any promises at all. And I just came in and worked and was able to start right away. So.
Were you playing just varsity, or did he have you playing all 3 levels?
I never played a freshman or a JV game. I wanted to.
Yeah.
But he didn't let me know. I started varsity right away, and so I never got an opportunity to play freshman or JV, just strictly varsity all the way through.
How good were y'all that year?
We were solid.
Yeah.
We had some ups and downs, especially early on, but I think we made it to the area consolation championship and lost to Douglas.
Yeah. That's that back against
Lost
the wall
that game in like the last minute too. I think we had a lead late in the game, and they ended up beating us by like 3. So
yeah, man.
yeah, we were solid that year though.
What type of veterans did you have as far as upperclassmen? Were they good in terms of accepting you, but also like help bringing you along? Because I would imagine it's a learning curve, even though you were talented.
Yeah, it was for sure. I had some really good seniors. Robert Brown, Sterling. I can't even think of Sterling's last name right now, but Landrell Williams.
That's a name I remember.
David Douglas. I had some really good. J.J. Henry, some really good upperclassmen that kind of, pushed me along the way, pushed me, challenged me.
Yeah.
Let me know, like, I know you're a freshman, you're starting, but hey, you're still a rookie.
For sure, for sure.
So,
and I'd imagine, because you probably started over some guys that are older than you.
I did.
They had to
Yeah,
go
I
ahead
did,
and, I'm going to shrink them down to size.
Yeah.
What was that sophomore year, though, like? Because that's always sort of a weird year, especially for somebody who's playing varsity as a freshman, major minutes, because that sophomore year is almost like, to me anyway, I don't know how you see it, you sort of transform it into who you ultimately going to become, but a lot of times those benefits, you don't start reaping them until you get to be like a junior. But what was year 2 like for you?
It was good. I mean, I really started to kind of come into my own my sophomore year. The game started to slow down for me.
Yeah.
So it was really good. We had a lot of team success. I played well. I think I averaged 14 and 8 as a sophomore.
Yeah, that's solid.
So after averaging, I think my freshman year I averaged 10 and 5, and so I increased that my sophomore year. It was great, man. We made the state tournament, made it all the way to the state semis, and like I said, the game started to slow down. I really started to kind of come into my own my sophomore year.
Would you say, did you have more of a defined role your freshman year versus what you had every year after that, or were you pretty much able to be Josh the way you wanted to be all through?
My freshman year was definitely my role player year of high school. We had 2 guys that were our leading scorers. I think I was the 3rd leading scorer that year. So I was more so the third option, I guess you can say, rebound, defend, just do the dirty work.
Get your points where you
Yeah,
can get.
yeah. I didn't get any plays really called for me like that my freshman year. I just kind of had to get it off the glass and stuff like that. So
You got targeted more year 2, huh?
year 2, I could tell, you definitely at the top of the scouting report year 2.
Yeah, it's a little
At
different.
that point, some of those seniors that we had, they were gone. And I had some really good running mates as well. Darren Wilson, Kendra Talley, Bryce Kemp. I had some good running mates. So
I remember those last 2 names. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Coming into it. And then, okay, so on paper, that team, your second year was better than your freshman year team. But talent-wise, is that still true? Year 2 versus year 1, would you say that was the better squad?
I think my freshman year, we might have actually been more talented.
I feel that.
It just didn't completely mesh.
Yeah.
You know.
That's underrated, man.
Yeah, for sure. But that second year, my sophomore year, we had some chemistry going, and so it translated to a lot more wins. I think my freshman year we won 16 games. Sophomore year, won 22 games. So.
Man, having a
big
20-win
difference.
season is hard, bro.
It is.
People
It
don't
is.
understand. And y'all won 20+ and went to the state tournament.
Yep.
Bravo. Year 3, though, going into the junior year. See, in my mind, I don't know this for a fact, but in my mind, you probably got more of your freshman compadres that were in your same grade from middle school. Now y'all probably all at this level hooking it up together. How was that year, man?
It was great. I mean, like you said, some of the guys that were in my class, now they're getting more playing time. Some of them are starting.
Yeah.
And really middle school teammates, really.
Yeah. Dope.
Guys that I played with in 7th and 8th grade.
Y'all
Now
got
they
work
getting their
with you.
varsity chance, and so it's really flowing. My junior year, made it to the state tournament again, state semifinals. I think we won 24 games that year. So again, just I'm steady kind of coming into my own. My teammates are, starting to elevate, and yeah, for sure.
Then you go to your senior year, y'all win it. All right, and in 2009, man, I remember yourself, we talked about your boy Philip in the beginning of this conversation, man. What do you remember about that year besides winning it? What I really want to know is, like, when you knew, hey, yo, we got a chance, yo, we can do this. You know what I mean?
I mean, I honestly felt that way my junior year.
Yeah.
I thought we had a chance my junior year.
Out the gate?
Yeah.
I feel that.
But my senior year, really in summer league, I felt like we all had a chip on our shoulder after losing in the state semifinals my junior year, and we were just locked in from the summertime. From team camps to, summer league, whatever it was. At that point, I felt like we at least had a chance for sure.
Did y'all have
Because-
any two-sport athletes on that squad?
Nah.
Oh, but see, that makes
Straight
a difference.
hoopers, man.
That
Straight
makes
hoopers.
a difference, man. Y'all-
Straight hoopers. Yeah.
Chemistry from May
Yep.
all the way to March.
Yep.
That's hard, man.
It is.
Okay, so back then, the landscape was different, right? In terms of maybe some programs were stronger then than they are now.
Yeah.
And y'all had, well, we got district now, but maybe it was conference back then. Who were some of the big dog opponents that always put together a good contest when y'all played them back during your era?
Well, when I played, it was all-city conference.
Yeah.
And so it was a combination. We had 3A schools, 4A schools, 5A, 6A schools in the conference. Douglas was always good.
Yeah.
Millwood was always good. John Marshall was always good. Southeast was always good.
Yeah, you
I
were.
mean, you can run them the whole conference really from top to bottom. Northwest Classen had some really good years back then. U.S. Grant had some good teams back then too. So Capitol Hill was really good. That was a really good 5A team back
remember
then.
that.
Yeah.
Dang, man, they put us out my
So
senior year.
every night was a challenge. Northeast High School was really good too. So
Y'all had to eat your Wheaties for real.
yeah, it was like a gauntlet every night.
So in the finals, the final game, what do you remember about that one, man? That last, it was gonna be your last game either way, no matter where you shook, how y'all shook out. But winning it, I know that was super sweet. But from the beginning of that game to the end, what can you recall on how that whole game went?
It was surreal.
Yeah.
It was really like a untypical feeling. I don't know why it felt that way. I
Even
almost
going in?
felt like the game before was it felt more of like a championship game, I guess, to me. I think we played Douglas in the semifinals that year, and I don't know. It was really a surreal feeling from start to finish.
Yeah.
But we was locked in from the beginning, man, and it was tough. I had Daniel Orton.
Yeah, man. I love that.
He was a beast,
He was a
man,
load.
and so that was a challenge. But it was great. We played well from start to finish, and we pulled it out. So
Yeah,
it was
man.
good.
And before we get to that college chapter, this is a question, man. I gotta remember to ask people more often. I was told about myself. All the coaches that you've had from the beginning of your athletic career, even in football, can you remember those guys and call some of their names still?
Yeah, my little league football coach was Coach Gaddis, Kevin Gaddis. AAU basketball, Keith Flory, Terry Long. Also played for Brian Van, Carl Henry, Gary Vick. My athletes' first days with those guys. Yeah, I can run them off.
Man, so you remember them. That's dope. That's
All
dope.
my high school coaches, Coach Gardner, Coach Potters, Coach AD, and Coach Cudjoe for sure. So, yeah.
Man, I like the fact you brought up the assistant coaches because to me, we're both assistant coaches right now.
Yeah.
But I think that nobody has the pulse of the locker room like the assistant coaches. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Because the head coach, even if he's a cool guy or if it's a cool lady, it's just something about that title that the players are like, I'm going to go talk to Coach John. Hey, man,
The players definitely confide in assistants.
Yeah, and then sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I've had to tell coach, hey, listen, this is what they own right now. This is the type of day we probably need to have today. They on some bull. Or, they all right, let's get after them today. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Have you found yourself in that boat, man?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, you said it perfectly, honestly. Like you said, man, a lot of kids, they confide in assistant coaches, the head coach is the guy that kind of controls the playing time. And so, if they're not playing, then, it's forget him. And if they are playing, maybe it's all good. And, and players always coming to you trying to figure out what they can do to get playing time. So, yeah, for sure.
What they really don't realize is how much the head coaches sort of confide in us in terms of like, who should we go to here?
We talk every day.
Every day, man.
We talk every day,
Yeah, we trying to do. Ain't nobody working against you, kid.
Right.
All right, but because your run ain't over. College, man, you went to Hutch, huh?
I did.
How did that come about, man? Did you get recruited fairly late, fairly early? Other options on the table? How'd it go down?
My recruiting process was it was different than it is now. I can tell you that much.
What?
But it was great, man. Actually, early on, I would say my junior year, which is my 17U year, I guess you can call it. I got a lot of interest from a bunch of mid-major, low-major Division I schools. I had one offer at the end of that summer from Northern Arizona.
Okay.
Coach KT Turner was an assistant coach that recruited me to NAU, and verbally committed to him back then. This is before the days of Twitter, before you could post your commitment and all of that stuff. Right. But I verbally committed to Northern Arizona in July, and was still getting recruited by a bunch of mid-major schools. And the early signing period came in November, and they wanted me to sign then. But like I said, I was still getting recruited by a bunch of different schools that hadn't offered yet. And so I told them, look, I think I'm going to try to test the waters and see what else I can get.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I never got those offers. And Coach Turner, he actually left Northern Arizona and went to Hutch. And he was like, man, I want you to come here with me. And that was a no-brainer for me.
That's all good. And I actually like that part of the story because that lets you know it's like, it's not personal.
Nah.
Because I know you've heard some stories like I have to where, some coaches take that personally that like, oh, we're not your first option. You're going to put us on hold. And then when it's time to do business down the line, even if it makes sense, they'll still be like, nah, because you did us like this the first. You didn't run into none of that.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. So when you got to Hutch, though, was it a good fit right away?
It was, actually.
Okay.
It was a great fit. And he told me he thought I would fit in well with the system and everything, and I did. Steve Eck was a coach there. It was his first year. He was coming over from another junior college in Kansas. He's a great junior college coach. Won a lot of games at the junior college level. Won a lot of high school games as a high school coach. And it was a great fit. We had a really good year that year, great team. I think we went 27 and 6 that year. Made it to the semifinals of the conference tournament. Didn't make the national tournament, but still had a really good year. So.
But you got to win the tournament in order to get to the nationals, huh?
I think in that regard, I think we either had to get to the championship game of the conference tournament or win it. to
I
make it
got
to the
you.
conference tournament, and we
Yeah.
lost in the semis. So yeah,
That's a hell of a record to fall short, man.
27-6 and still don't make the national tournament, man.
Gotta be
That's
hurt.
crazy.
They played 30-plus games.
Yeah.
Now, see, to me, I went to Murray State, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my experience was much different, I think, than yours, and it may be from a lot of people. But in a way, I've been told that it's the same because I'm gonna say what I gotta say, and I want to hear your feedback on it. I had a lot of teammates that, obviously were the guy wherever they came from,
Right.
but it was like pulling teeth to get everybody to buy into what it was actually gonna take to win, because cats didn't want that to be their last stop.
Yeah.
I didn't understand at that point. I just thought, man, these cats did not learn the game how I learned it. But we just had talent, but we had individuals. You know what I mean? So we weren't winning those 27 games. But how did y'all run into any of that? Did y'all had to iron out before y'all got rolling?
It's crazy because, in JUCO, you got freshmen, you got sophomores.
Yeah.
And we started 5 freshmen. And so those 5
True
freshmen, true freshmen, I was one of them.
Wow.
And
Jumped off the porch early every stop, man.
yeah. So us, the freshmen, we bonded and gelled really well. Our point guard, Joe Mitchell, he was really good. We had a 4-man that was really good as well, Bruce Reed. And they were kind of our guys in terms of, scoring and things of that nature. There was some button heads with some of the sophomores because you got these 5 freshmen coming in.
Yeah,
they starting. We winning games, and so that was some of that, in practice, but it really didn't show on the floor. But we definitely dealt with some issues, I guess you can say, at practice every day.
Man, did you ever run into having a boatload of guys, right, by the time first day of classes started, and then the roster looks entirely different by the time y'all get to first official practice?
Not by the time we got the first official practice, but by Christmas time,
Christmas break.
yeah, it was a shift.
Yeah.
It was a shift.
A lot
for
of guys
sure,
gone.
yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
Was it that hard of an existence for you, though? Because I hear that from a lot of people, like, man, I'm in a small town, man, I'm far away from the crib. Was there a period where it was like, man, I don't know if I like this like that? I know I went through that. Did you go through any of that at all?
First semester was tough.
Really?
It was tough, man. I mean, it's my first time away from home.
Yeah.
Definitely homesick that first semester. So it was a challenge. I'm in a small town in Kansas. Ain't nothing there.
Right.
The biggest thing to do is go to Walmart.
Oh, yeah, that's like the mall.
It's like the mall.
Were you mobile, though?
I was mobile, so
Okay.
that was cool.
Me too.
And
Gotta
every
have it.
now and then we might drive to Wichita or something like that. So that was cool. But
a good time.
man, that first semester it was tough. Went home Christmas break and kind of rejuvenated myself, revitalized myself, I guess. And second semester was a lot better, but that first semester was definitely tough.
I feel that. All right, so your second year as a sophomore, how was that run? And it was obviously going to be your last year there, right?
No, so I actually only did 1 year.
You did one?
Yeah, I did
Okay.
1 year. I was a qualifier out of high school, so I didn't necessarily need to go to JUCO, but I went the JUCO route. I had some interest from some schools. ORU was showing some interest. Loyola Chicago was showing some interest in me, but they hadn't offered me. I think the thing that they mentioned to me was come in red shirt, and at that time I'm like, man, I'm trying to get out of this JUCO stuff, this JUCO situation, and so. I actually came home for a little bit, I think during the state tournament, high school state tournament. I came home during spring break. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And I ran into a coach from Cameron University, and we linked up, and I ended up going to Cameron. So my sophomore year, I played at Lawton at Cameron. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, at that time, they were still NAIA, weren't they?
No, they were
they
D2,
D2?
and they played in Lone Star.
Oh,
yeah,
so they've been
D2,
D2 for that long, huh?
Yep,
All
yep.
right. Well, how was that jump, man? Essentially jumping up 2 levels, I guess you could say. Was it a good fit?
It wasn't the best fit, honestly.
I got you.
The team was great. We had a lot of talent. But the coaching situation, I had a connection with the assistant coach, the head coach. I didn't do a great job of building, chemistry with him before I signed.
Right.
And no, it wasn't a great fit.
wasn't a great
I
fit.
started and everything like that, but it wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good fit at all.
It doesn't sound like you were having a lot of fun either, man.
Nah.
Now, you said y'all had a pretty good squad, though, huh?
We had a good squad.
Okay.
We made some noise. Craig Foster was on that team. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
Craig
I know
Foster,
Craig.
but man, it was a
Shout
young
out
Craig
to him,
Foster on
man.
that team. We had some other really good, talented guys that had some stints overseas and everything like that. So we had some talent. The
Gotcha.
team was good. but the coaching situation, it just wasn't great.
It wasn't great.
Yeah.
You made a move after that year?
Definitely made a move. Ended up transferring, went to UCO,
UCO,
Central
huh?
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Nah, I knew that's where you had finished, but I guess in my mind that was just your senior year. But now you were there for 2?
2 years, yeah.
All right.
My junior and senior year. Yeah.
Okay, so how'd that move come about? Were you connected in that regard too, or you
Yeah.
just took a shot in the dark?
Terry Edney, who was the coaches there at the time, they recruited me pretty heavily out of high school.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I ended up going to Hutch. And so when I knew I needed to transition from Cameron, that was the first call. And they welcomed me with open arms, and it was a seamless fit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you essentially, Edmonds, but you essentially back at the crib.
Yep.
Were there any perks to that, being closer to home? When you came back to the state of Oklahoma, period?
It was, for sure. I mean, even being in Lawton, that was cool. I'm an hour and a half away, and so that was different from much easier than being 3.5 hours away.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then Edmond is 30 minutes from the crib, so, yeah.
That's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yep.
But here's a question I really want to ask you, man, because there was a lot about about the recruitment process and about the redshirting process that I didn't understand at all when it was my time. And, with all respect to my parents, love them dearly, but they didn't know about that stuff either. So I sort of was going in blind in a lot of regard. But it sounded like you were making a lot of your own decisions at that time. Did you have any advisement during that time?
I mean, I had some advisement.
Yeah.
A cousin of mine, Tony Harding, kind of advised me a little bit, but I really didn't have that from my parents.
Right.
They never had that situation. They never went through anything like that. And so essentially I was on my own, making those decisions on my own.
Yeah.
From high school to all the way through college. Every decision was, for the most part, it was me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You ever have anybody trying to talk you out of it? Like, nah, it ain't the move. Or do you have everybody like, man, go ahead and do that?
No, I didn't have that, and that's something that, a lot of kids nowadays, are privy to, having, whether it's a parent or a mentor or whatever the case, they're privy to having that. I didn't have that, so at that time, but yeah.
I got you. Okay, so when you wrapped up your college career, did you think you had more left in the tank, or were you new, or did you know that last game, it's a wrap, I'm shutting this chapter?
I pretty much knew it was a wrap. I had dealt with some knick-knack injuries. I had a really bad back. Ended up having back surgery after playing. So,
like shortly after?
Yeah, within about 2 years or so after playing, I ended up having back surgery.
Ooh.
So it was time for me.
I feel that.
It was definitely time. Yeah.
Did you play any after the surgery, or you been retired for a while now?
I play in men's leagues, things of that nature.
Still
I play pickup with the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So I still get down. Yeah, I still can play.
Man, listen, man, when that fire burning, man, it's burning.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you know you wanted to coach, man? Because so many coaches that are ex-players that I run across, and I know it sounds like a good story to say, yeah, he played. Of course he wants to coach, but it didn't always go like that for a lot of us. You know what I mean? Some of us picked up on it late. Others knew they wanted to do this out of the gate. How did it go for you?
I had zero intentions of being a coach.
Yeah.
Zero intentions of being a coach. Honestly, I want to say it was my, I can't remember if it was my junior or my senior year. Terry Evans was my college coach at UCO. Mm-hmm. He pulled me and a teammate into his office. We wasn't playing up to standards. Yeah. And he pulled us in, had a conversation with us. And he was like, man, at the end of the day, I know you want to be a coach, right? I was like, nah, I never even thought about being a coach. He was like, I'm telling you, man, you're going to be a coach.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, literally, I played my last college game in March, and by April, I was coaching. So one of my former AAU coaches, Brian Van, he had an AAU program, Oklahoma Magic, and I ran into him at the gym. He was like, man, I got this team. I want you to come coach it. He was like, I need you to come coach it. I'm like, all right, DV, I'll come to a practice. It was boys.
Okay.
I think they were eighth grade. And so I came to a practice, and he was like, man, I just want you to coach them up and do your thing. And he really just kind of threw me in the fire. And I hadn't stopped coaching since.
Straight up.
Exactly, yeah.
Man, okay, I can imagine you were kind of like, I don't want to say a fish out of water, because when you know the game, you know the game.
Right.
But did it grow on you, or right away it was like, oh yeah, I'm in?
It definitely grew on you. Mm-hmm. You don't realize how different it is, the perspective of the game from player to coach. It's completely different. So I definitely grew into what I am today, for sure. Yeah.
What type of coach were you out of the gate, man? Were you young Josh, man, compared to, seasoned?
Yeah. Fiery,
Fiery?
impatient. I still have that, I guess you can say, player's mentality.
Oh, yeah.
And so it took a minute for me to kind of get, where I am now, where I'm a lot more patient. I still got that fire, but definitely I'm not a lot more patient, more understanding of, where players are coming from. But for sure, right out the gate,
Rah guy,
rah
baby.
rah for sure.
Was your squad pretty good though? That magic group?
They were pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah?
they were.
Did you rock with them beyond just that year, or was it one and done, and then there was another group the next year?
That group, I think I ended up staying with that group from 8th grade up until their 17U year. So it might have been 3 or 4 seasons, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I rocked with that group. There was some few changes, but the core group stayed with them for 3 or 4 years, yeah.
You in my mind right now. That's
Yep.
actually a good segue because you coach AAU now, right? With Team Trey Young Elite,
Yep.
right? You still with them?
Yep.
Man, if you can compare then versus now, maybe there aren't any differences, but how difficult is it to keep pretty much the same team together from year to year? Or if not the same team, which that's pretty much impossible, at least the same nucleus, man. Is that tough?
It could be a challenge, but now, man, you got to recruit your own players. If you want to keep your team together, from 15U, it's really hard to keep that type of group together. But from 16U to 17U, it's possible.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a challenge. You gotta recruit your own players. Let alone trying to bring in other guys to make sure your team is good. You got to recruit your own guys too. So
Without giving up too many secrets, I've never heard. I don't know if I heard it phrased the way you just said it. What does that sort of look like in having to recruit somebody that you think you already have, or you already had this past season, but this season's over? Like, what does recruiting them look like to get them to stay? You know what I mean?
Honestly, you just gotta consistently, just constantly stay in communication with them. Let them know, hey, you're important to the program. We need you. For this year or next year. You're still an important piece to our program. So
Gotcha.
Year to year, other teams are gonna pry and poke, try to grab kids. And
Same thing with school ball.
so you gotta let them know exactly. Just gotta let them know, hey, you're important to the program. So.
I got one more AAU question, man, that fascinates me. So I think that just the bottom line, I'm not sure if winning is as paramount as it used to be when it comes to going to these tournaments or showcases, as you call them now.
Yeah,
It
showcases.
seems like the competitive component sort of has taken the back seat to exposure. To that, you would say what? Am I making some sense, or am I off a little bit?
There's definitely some validity to that statement. Me personally, I still like to win.
Yeah.
But now we're in the era of, I guess it's more important, to showcase your talent. Let coaches see you, and if you win, you win. If you lose, it just is what it is. So
We got all our game time. We already know when we play.
Right.
8, 12,
Yeah.
3. All right.
Yep.
Okay, so now you're over here at Mustang High School. How did this come about? And then number 2, has this been your only stint coaching school ball?
it has been, yeah.
Oh, yeah? How'd you fall into this here?
This is year 7 for me.
Dope.
They were going through a coaching change at the time, the 17-18, going into the 17-18 school year. I had heard that Tonjel Durham had got the job. He was a longtime coach at Bishop McGuinness. And I had played against him actually, in my high school career. And one of my good friends and high school teammates, Kendra Talley, they're golfing buddies. And
Go figure that.
and so
Shout out to Tally over there.
talked
OC,
to
man.
Kendra and was like, hey man, if he's looking to build a staff, let him know I'm interested. And I reached out to him and came in, interviewed, and been here ever since. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Did he carve out a role for you right away, or it was like, hey man, listen, you here, do your thing?
I think it was kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah. Okay.
Gave me some responsibilities and which was good for me, but also said, hey, be you, do your thing, and that really kind of allowed me to grow into, the coach I am today. Kind of find my groove in this coaching realm. So.
Right. And it seems like you've dealt with a little bit of a transition even within that time.
Yeah.
You were under Durham for
2 years.
2 years.
So 2 years. About midway through my second year, we went through a coaching change.
Right.
And so I was actually the interim to finish that season out, Yeah.
I know that.
yeah.
Now, which season was that? I know you remember because I don't.
That was the 18-19 season.
18-19 season.
So I coached about 5 games as an interim coach, and went through the interviewing process, to try to, become the head coach the following season. Made it to the final 3 and didn't work out, but my athletic director, he felt that it was important for me to stay here, and so the guy that he hired, Scott Hodges, kept me on board and got a great relationship with him. So
I did not know about that interim phase.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just had a small sample size of what that's like, but essentially moving over one seat. How much different is that?
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. And you've been a head coach as well, and so it's definitely a huge difference. Those wins, they feel a lot better, and those losses, they weigh on you a lot more.
Yeah,
so it's definitely a big difference from assistant to being in a head coaching role for sure.
Yeah. The other, because I would imagine you weren't the only assistant on the staff at that time. Man, what was the reaction, or how was that received by the rest of the staff? Number one, the absence of who's been there all year long, and then number 2, of all of y'all, we going with this guy. Were you the young fella at the time?
Yeah, I was actually.
The
Yeah.
young fella.
Yep. I was the youngest guy on the coaching staff. Now that you mentioned, I didn't even think about that,
Yeah.
but I was. But I felt like it was a pretty seamless transition. I think they felt like I was ready for it, and which at the time maybe I wasn't.
Right.
But I made the most of it, and it was great. It was actually a pretty smooth transition. The coaches, the assistant coaches that were on the staff with me, were receptive of it. The players were very acceptive of it, which made it, really easy for me. So it was good. It was good.
I would imagine that the players rocked with you even before.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's how that
sure.
goes. Now, the last thing I want to ask on that is, I would think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think when you're that far into the process, you don't want to do an overhaul and sort of reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
But I would imagine since you're not Coach Durham, naturally you're going to do some things differently. So when it came to putting practices together, did y'all pretty much stay within what y'all had been doing, or did things look noticeably different from that point on?
Some things were the same, but I definitely made a change in the sense of, I just wanted to make it my own. So, and that's really what I did. And so practice looked a little different, incorporated some different things offensively, defensively, and just kind of made it my own, honestly. So,
Gotcha. All right. So under new management, with you rocking with Coach Hodges, was it a tough pill to swallow in the beginning? Because you were in the running for it, didn't get it, and then you in a sense got convinced to stick around. So that tells me maybe you had a wandering eye for a minute.
Yeah,
Any
for
truth
sure.
to
that? I definitely entertained some other options, and it was tough to stick around initially. But once I realized, man, he was a great guy. It was a pretty smooth transition, but it took a minute. But after I kind of, put your pride to the side and realized, look, man, it's all good, and it worked out well. So
in due time. You know what I mean? Okay, now are you full time in the building over here?
I am. Yeah.
What's your role?
So I teach a class, effective learning strategies is what I teach.
Yeah.
It's almost like an in-school study hall is kind of what I call it. So I work with kids that kind of struggle in school, kind of struggle to make their grades, and so
I like that.
That's
man.
what I do. Yeah.
That was the type of kid I was. Man, I need that individual attention, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last question I want to ask about all of that. So I look at you as an inner city kid, even though some people might say Spencer is off the beaten path a little bit. But you out here in a suburban type of area. You know what I mean? The demographic is a little bit different. Are there or were there any adjustments you had to make in terms of how you're going to relate to said kid here who maybe doesn't come from the background that you come from? Was it difficult at all?
In terms of relating to the kids, it was definitely a difference in the transition, for sure. And it took a minute, that first year, I would say it wasn't bad, but it was an adjustment. My second year was a lot better. And I would say probably by about year 3, I kind of figured it out and found my footing in terms of that. And so, yeah.
And pretty much, I don't want to say all of them, but a lot of them these days, no matter where they are, it's just hard to go boot to buns like
Yeah.
what used to happen back in the day.
Yep.
And some of that stuff probably should stay where it is,
Yeah.
but some of that stuff still works today. But that's another rabbit hole, man. Okay, so here we are. It's 2024. We talked right before we turned the cameras and the mics on. I got to watch you guys play twice this year, and you won both games against two credible opponents. Yeah. What has this season been like thus far? And we're getting ready to start the playoffs in 2 days, man.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
That's right, man. Tell me about this year's squad, man.
It's been good. We've had a really good year this year. Got a 14-9 record. Mm-hmm. Hit some bumps in the roads in there. That happens every year.
Yeah.
But I feel like overall, man, we've had a really, really solid season. So feeling good going into the playoffs here in a couple of days, and it's been good.
Y'all got a veteran ball club, or y'all kind of young? Because y'all look vastly different from last year.
We're young, real young.
That's
young.
Good.
So I think we only started one senior, and the rest of the team is juniors, freshmen, sophomores. So the future is bright for sure.
Yeah,
it's definitely bright.
Gonna be in the mix for a minute, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we got to pivot and we got to talk about how you decompress after games. All right, so let's say y'all just took a hard-fought loss, dog.
Yeah.
How hard are you on yourself individually in terms of running the scenarios back in your head? And how long does it take for you to get over it?
Game nights, man. I don't get much sleep.
No.
Wins, losses, because you like you said, you processing, you replaying everything, you thinking about what you could have done better, whether you won or you lost. Mm-hmm. And so for me, those are long nights, not in a bad way necessarily. Yeah. I'm definitely a guy. I go home and watch TV. I might be up till midnight, 1 o'clock on a game night.
Just can't turn your brain off.
Yeah, that brain is just going. So yeah, for sure.
Whenever y'all are not locked in, though, let's say it's off season, or let's say it's one of the holiday breaks that we get, what are some of the things some of the human stuff that we can catch Josh Davis doing? The human. Like, what are some of your hobbies, man, outside of hoops?
Man, I'm such a reserved, laid-back, chill guy, man.
Yeah, you are.
I like to go to the movies,
Word.
I like to do a little traveling if I can. I'm pretty basic, man. I'm a homebody.
Yeah.
So anytime I got some downtime, and I don't have to be in the gym necessarily, I'm probably just hanging out at the house, watching the movie or something like that. So, yeah.
Best seat in the house is at the house sometimes.
No doubt.
We got to talk parenthood, man.
Sure.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, do you have 2 little boys?
Yeah.
Man, what are their ages?
Ashton and Ari. Ashton is my oldest, he's 7. And Ari is my youngest, he's 5. Yep.
Oh, yeah, they growing up together.
They are, man. And they're a handful. They have a lot of fun, though.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so, man, let's do this math. Let's get, so when your oldest was born, you were what, about 26, something like
25,
that? 25.
Yep.
25? And you're right there in the middle of your 20s, in your physical prime and all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, how much of a shock to you was it once you became a parent? And did it feel any different on round 2?
Round 2 was a lot easier.
Yeah, you figured some things out.
That first time around, man, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into, honestly. Right. But you just try to make the most of it, and that's definitely just what I did. Just made the most of it. Yeah. Try to be everything I thought a father should be. Just be there, love them, support them, and encourage them, and yeah. But the second time around was a lot easier.
I wanted to ask that question because, I always see them with you, and I think that's dope, man. I really do.
Sure.
Now I got to ask the cliche question: are they athletes?
They are.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
They both play basketball.
Yeah.
They play a little soccer, and I'm sure they're gonna be running track as well. They definitely got the athletic gene for sure.
I feel it. Are you able to just watch them and be pops, or you catch yourself putting that coaching hat on sometimes?
I just watch them, man. I just watch them, enjoy them, sit back. At their games, I don't yell or do anything like that. I just kind of sit back, chill, let them do their thing. Make sure I encourage them after the game. But yeah, I'm not a rah-rah, dad, anything like that when it comes to athletics. I just kind of let them do their thing, man, and have fun with it. So
I love it. Yeah. That way they always going to love it, man. It's not a force.
Yep.
All right, here's how we're going to wrap it up. So all due disrespect, that's what I call it, man. So I want you to dial back in your catalog of games that you coached in and games that you played in at any level. Who did y'all lose to that y'all had zero business losing to? And you still feel strongly about it today?
Zero business losing to. I would say my senior year, I want to say it was the area championship game. We lost a game to Bethany. And
so y'all didn't go through the front door?
Man, no, we didn't go. We had to go through the consolation.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And we ain't had no business losing that game. They were a solid team, you know, but yeah, if I can get that one back, I would definitely get that one back for sure.
Yeah, you can run that back real quick.
Yes.
I like that, man. That question is funny to me because it's like, obviously you've had a lot of success in your life as a player and as a man and as a coach, but it's like those moments where we came up a little short for some reason, them still stay up front. You know what I
All
mean?
those losses stick with you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, but listen, man, I've had you on this list of people I wanted to chop it up with for a while. It's been a minute trying to align, but I'm glad we got to do it, man. Best of luck to the Mustang Broncos, bro. I'm gonna be rooting for you from a distance
Appreciate
since I'm
you,
in
man.
5A, you know, so we ain't got to worry about each other.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir.
though.
No
Sure.
doubt.
All right.
My man, and we wrapped up.
Playmakers.
Run that back, Turbo.